A day in the life of Jesus Hook. Imagine waking up before sunrise, in a small stone house, in a land ruled by soldiers who are not your own. Imagine stepping outside into the cool desert air, knowing that today people will follow you, question you, beg you for help, and some will want you dead. This was not a legend. This was a Tuesday. What did an ordinary day actually look like for Jesus of Nazareth? Not the miracles you've heard about 100 times, the quiet hours in between. The walking, the waiting, the small moments no one thought to write down. Stay with us, because by the end of this day, you'll understand something about Jesus that most people never stop to consider. Introduction. 2,000 years ago, in a dusty corner of the Roman Empire called Galilee, a man began his morning the way millions of others did, barefoot, hungry, and surrounded by uncertainty. But this man was different. Crowds were starting to follow him. Religious leaders were starting to watch him. And Rome, the most powerful empire on earth, didn't yet know what to make of him. Historians agree on very little about the exact albular life of Jesus. The Gospels give us glimpses, not a diary, but by combining those glimpses with what archaeology and history reveal about first-century Jewish life, we can step carefully into a single day, a day of teaching, a day of walking, a day that reveals who Jesus really was, not in the abstract, but in the dust, sweat, and noise of real life. Scene 1. Before dawn. Long before sunrise, in a small fishing town on the edge of the Sea of Galilee, Jesus is already awake. The Gospel of Mark tells us that he rose a great while before day and went to a solitary place to pray. Not because he had to, because he needed to. Picture it. Cold stone under his feet. The sky still black. The only sound the wind moving across the water. No crowd. No disciples. Just silence and prayer. Few people notice this detail, but it may be one of the most important in the entire story. Before Jesus fed thousands, healed the sick, or challenged the powerful, he was alone with God. Historians believe this pattern of early morning prayer was common among devout Jewish teachers of the time, but for Jesus, it wasn't ritual. It was full, because what was coming next would require everything he had. Scene to the village wakes up. As the sun rises over the hills of Galilee, the town stirs to life. Roosters call out, women walk to the well, clay jars balanced on their shoulders. Men prepare fishing nets or head toward the fields. Smoke rises from clay ovens as the smell of fresh bread drifts through narrow stone streets. This was daily life under Roman occupation, a strange mixture of ordinary routine and constant tension. Roman soldiers patrol nearby roads, taxes are heavy. Whispers of rebellion never fully disappear. And into this world, Jesus walks out to find his disciples. By now, word has spread. People know his name. Some believe he is a prophet. Some believe he is dangerous. Some don't know what to believe, but they come anyway, because something about him is different, and everyone can feel it. Scene 3. The crowd gathers. By mid-morning, the crowd has grown. Fishermen leave their nets. Mothers bring their children. The sick are carried on mats, desperate for even a glimpse of him. This is first-century Judea, a world without modern medicine, without hope for many illnesses, where sickness often meant social isolation as much as physical suffering. A skin disease could mean being cast out of your own family. Blindness could mean a lifetime of begging. And yet here, in an open field near the sea, hope arrives. Jesus begins to teach, not in a grand temple, not from a throne, but standing on a hillside or seated in a small fishing boat pushed just off the shore, using the water to carry his voice across the crowd. Some scholars believe this technique, sitting in a boat, was not only symbolic, it was also acoustic genius, allowing his voice to travel over water to hundreds of listeners. He speaks in parables, simple stories about seeds, sheep, coins, and soil. Stories a farmer or fisherman could understand instantly, yet stories with meaning deep enough to unsettle religious scholars. But something unexpected happens next. Scene 4. The interruption? In the middle of his teaching, a disturbance ripples through the crowd. People are pushing to the side, whispering. A person suffering from a serious illness has broken through the barrier of social shame just to reach him. In Jewish law at the time, contact with certain illnesses made a person ritually unclean, untouchable, avoided, feared, and yet Jesus does something remarkable. He does not turn away. Whether the moment involves a healing, a compassionate word, or simply the refusal to reject someone the world had already rejected, the message is the same. Dignity is restored where the world had removed it. This single moment reveals something extraordinary about Jesus' daily reality. Every hour carried an encounter with human suffering, and every encounter carried a choice: walk past or stop. He always stopped. Scene 5. Conflict in the crowd. Not everyone in the crowd is there to listen with an open heart. Among the people are religious leaders, Pharisees and scribes, trained experts in Jewish law. Some are curious, some are suspicious. A few are already looking for a reason to challenge him publicly. This tension is not exaggerated by storytellers centuries later. It's rooted in real historical dynamics. Judea in this era was a pressure cooker of religious authority, Roman power, and rising messianic expectation. Many Jewish leaders were deeply cautious about anyone who might provoke Rome or challenge established religious order. So, questions come, sharp ones, designed to trap him, and yet, again and again, Jesus responds with something they don't expect, wisdom that turns their question back on itself, revealing deeper truth without giving them the confrontation they were hoping for. The crowd watches closely, because everyone senses it. This is more than a debate. This is a turning point building, day by day, moment by moment. Scene 6. Midday Rest, afternoon. The sun is high and brutal. Historians note that midday in Galilee could reach extreme heat, and travel or teaching outdoors would have demanded real physical endurance. Jesus and his disciples withdraw briefly, perhaps to eat simple food: bread, dried fish, olives, and water drawn from a well or spring. This is not a life of luxury. It's a life of walking, dust, hunger, and human limitation. This detail matters more than it seems. Jesus wasn't untouched by exhaustion, egreutire. He needed food, and needed rest. This is one of the most overlooked truths of his life. Divinity, according to the Gospels, did not erase his humanity. It walked directly through it. Emotional peak. As evening approaches, Jesus returns to teaching and healing late into the day. A mother weeps, holding a child who has been sick for years. A man who has never walked watches others move freely and wonders if hope is even allowed for someone like him. A tax collector, hated by his own people, stands at the edge of the crowd, afraid to come closer, afraid to stay away. And Jesus turns. He does not see sinners to condemn. He sees people to restore. One by one, moments repeat that will define the entire mission of his life. Compassion before judgment, presence before distance, mercy before punishment. By the time the sun sets behind the hills of Galilee, exhaustion is written across his face. But so is something else. Quiet resolve, because this day was never really about miracles. It was about mercy, made visible, one person at a time. Ending. As night falls, Jesus withdraws once more to pray alone, exhausted, but unwavering. Tomorrow will bring new crowds, new challenges, and eventually a path toward Jerusalem that history will never forget. But this ordinary day, filled with prayer, walking, teaching, healing, and quiet compassion, reveals something profound. Long before the cross, long before the resurrection, Jesus was already changing the world, not through spectacle, through presence. 2,000 years later, his story still moves through human hearts, not because of distant miracles alone, but because of days exactly like this one. Real, human, and filled with unstoppable love. And maybe that's the real reason this story has never been forgotten.